Hi everyone, here Ulysses Lavaroni for Cyclical Dreams. Now have our special guest once again, John Scott Sheffer. And it's a pleasure to be with you, John, once again. Hello.
Hello there. How are you doing, Lucy?
Very well. I'm very happy to make a second part of this interview. Um, you have a very special history about music and space, and it's very nice to be known in many ways. And and we are in Cyclical Dreams very interested that people connect your musical side with your
Mm,
exploration side and your musical spreading ideas. So this is a very nice connection that we want to remark all as possible. So I have five questions that it will be very interesting to develop. And the first one is, what are your memories about the idea of building a large laboratory to communicate with something else out there?
Many good memories. Just from the very fact that my grandfather taught me how to do machine shop work, and then I learned electronics on my own, and the memories of my grandparents helping me to build this dream, to build the space, even my grandmother putting up her savings, and me combining my savings and what I had to work with to build a wonderful room, a two-story, 16 and a half foot wide by 40 some 2 feet long room with special flooring in it that could be moved just so we could build these machines, these transmitters to beam music and signals into deep space. Many
So
good memories.
so when there was maybe one day or one week when the idea start. What was
Mm.
when? How are you
Ah,
at that time when you say, okay, we must do it?
yes, that's interesting because I started out with when I was a kid, I watched The Outer Limits, the TV series back in the '60s, and it really inspired me to use electronic instruments or build electronic devices to maybe contact some of these alien life forms, these intelligences that might be out there. So that inspired me like I can't even describe how much. It was tremendous. And just seeing all those cool banks of instruments and blinking lights and meters, I thought, I got to build some of these. They look really cool. So not only did I have the inspiration to check out what might be in space, but I also had the inspiration for the electronics construction, building the machines and creating my own outer limits, if you will, but working one with working machines, not just say stage props or something. And that inspired me to start. And I knew from then on I wanted to do this. And then in the '70s and through the '80s, I actually did do it. I actually did build that 2 story studio lab uh, transmitting station for music and creative ideas to share with others.
And do you have previous knowledge about how to do it? Because it's a very complex thing. So did you study something before to prepare, or you were learning and learning and learning in the process? How it was?
Combination of both. Being so inspired to build those things, I obviously had to learn how to put together electrical circuits and work with electricity and all of that. The Lionel train that my grandfather bought me for Christmas one year turned out to be quite a little treasure for learning about electricity. I I took, if you've ever, you probably have them in your country or did, those little metal beaded chains that hang from lights to pull lights on and off with. They're little metal beads on them, and it's all metallic and they're flexible. So I remember pulling these across the train tracks on the model train set, watching the little spark come off the tracks, thinking how cool that was. So it wasn't long after that that I tried other experiments with the electricity from the transformer to run it through ignition coils for automobiles, things like that, and started getting nice little sparks of electricity, little arcs. And then I realized there was more. I could hook capacitors and diodes to that and rectify it and store it. So I was learning basic electronics way back when I was like in my 12 or 14-year-old range. So it was an inspirational journey for me, and I just loved doing it. My grandfather was very helpful. So from those years, I went forward, and more complicated things I was able to put together. I built Jacob's ladders. These sci-fi fans are really into those, and they are cool as heck. This arc rolls up a pair of wires up and down a track. It looks so cool. It's a Frankenstein kind of
Yeah,
device.
and
So I can,
I can imagine that some days there can be some issues, some that some things broke. And do you have some, I don't know, anecdotic time about? It can't be everything good all the time.
right. No, it can't. And
You were
one of
in
the
exploration.
classic examples
Yeah.
is when I blew a hole in the carpet with the by plugging the directly into the wall outlet and trying something, hooking it up on the floor in the living room, and it exploded and blew a hole right in the carpet, burned a hole right in it. My grandfather kind of shook his head on that one. He didn't think that was such a good
Yeah. So yeah, I can imagine a lot of strange things happening all the weeks long, because it was completely out of the academy. You have any kind of I don't know, guidance about some academical? Do did you connect with, I don't know, some astrophysical people or SETI or something like that, to have any kind of references for what you
idea.
have to do?
A little bit later in life, like in the 80s, when I had Project Strat set up and operating, a few people from the science department, from universities, and a physicist, and lots of UFO enthusiasts had stopped by and would talk with me and we'd visit. But as far as reviewing large groups of papers or theories, we talked about theory, but we didn't get into the deep stuff. I mean, where you look at letters of engineering and stuff like that. But we talked and discussed what I was doing and what might be possible to improve it. So I had lots of great verbal discussions and ideas as I pointed out how the devices worked and this 150,000 volt transmitter operated, and its frequency ranges and stuff. So yeah, I had a little bit of help. It was more verbal than anything, and a few things. This was before the internet was really going. I didn't have internet, nothing like that didn't exist for me. So anyway, that was more like direct visiting with people that were into this field of work.
And do you
So
have some
it,
kind
it
of
came.
students in any moment that appear people to want to learn from you and make the same how it was? Because
Oh, that's
you
a
were
good question.
in a unique uh, position. It's like you were the one.
Yeah, yes. And what's interesting is there was we had like tours of the lab when it was up and running. And oftentimes the local Cub Scouts leaders would bring the Cub Scouts by to see the operation. And we'd do all kinds of experiments and I would demonstrate things and what the electricity could do at that high level. We lit up fluorescent tubes, walked around the room with tubes glowing in our hands and things like that, as well as roasting marshmallows to music. It'd be music what powering the system. So it operated at music frequencies, audio frequencies. And you could roast marshmallows right in the arc between the big machines. You could put one in there and then start arcing across it and roast it. And you could hear the music in the arc, in the spark that was cooking the marshmallow. So it kind of blew the kids away. They were really amazed. It really opened their minds. And to this very day, I hear from some of them on Facebook, and they remember the tour. They remember being there when they were kids. So yes, there is a lot of sharing that goes on, or did, when it was up and running. very educational, and just a lot of fun.
So, so I can imagine when. How did you feel after seeing the film that they made about you? Maybe I saw you sent me many videos about earlier movies on your investigations, but maybe the Netflix one, because it's the media now, because the kind of distribution that have all those things. Uh, how was the feedback? Because now you have your Facebook page and whatever, and there's a movie that everyone can access.
It's
So
very interesting.
how do you feel about it? Okay, okay, it's
it,
something.
yeah, it's something quite maximizing in the sense of your senses, because there's so many people and so many points of feedback now with social media and everything, and hearing from the director himself, the producer. We're in touch a lot. There's a Twitter feed that has been just crazy active with stuff about the film, and there's been lots of feedback. Oh, probably 89 to 95% positive. Just a few kind of rude remarks, but the rest of it was wonderful. And people were just amazed and inspired and cried. They really were moved by the film. And I was too. When I saw the first edit of it, I actually, it kind of brought tears to my eyes. It just had a lot of impact. It had a lot of warmth, a lot of feeling. Not only did it show an interesting story, but it touched the heart and the soul. It was very unique. And Matt Phillip, who did the film, produced it, edited it, put it together, is just a brilliant person in filmmaking, and has this sense about people and a way of seeing them. Maybe not everyone sees, but he brought it to film and made it possible for others to experience it. So it was a beautiful experience, but it has kept me so busy that I almost need to hire a secretary at times, I feel, just to keep up with the correspondence. And so it's been intense, but good, positive, very positive, giving me a launch pad for my music and for my creative things I love to do, the art that I love.
Yeah, so it's like, well, maybe, of course, get contact with some alien intelligence is one in a million, million, billion, 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 billion possibilities. It's I know that we can't imagine how big is the space. You know very well about it. We can
Mhm.
imagine distances. We
Yeah.
can imagine dimensions. It's
Oh,
absolutely outside
just
of our imagination. Absolutely outside.
yes,
Just numbers,
yes,
just numbers. You see numbers on a book, but you can imagine uh, 60 million years ago. It's impossible. You can't imagine those things. So the possibilities
right.
are absolutely in time and in space are, it's like find an electron flying into the vacuum. It's, you know you know very well. But
Yes, I do.
there's another. It's very interesting because you make something for the outside, and the waves are still traveling. The waves
Right.
are still traveling, and
Yes.
yeah, so it's happening. You left your work, but your work is really really traveling. It's about
Hmm.
time, and maybe in 5 centuries, arrive somewhere on Earth, or in 5,000 years. This is something like that. It's something that it's outside our lives. It's like
Right.
we talked before in the last meeting about Voyager. It's something outside our time. It's outside our lifetimes. So
Yes.
your actions make something with the people that this is, yes, in your lifetime, because you maybe the signals in 1 million years arrive somewhere, but what happened with inspiration, what happened, but others look to your story and get inspired and want to interview you, and well, man, you are part of the history now, and this is a very nice thing. And so it's very interesting that maybe there are some acts like yours, that it's in one hand infinite
Mm.
and invisible, but there's another part that is the human achievement of this exploration, that is the reflect of this exploration in the culture, in the human knowledge, and this is very important. So this, all those things, all those equipments that you build, and everything that you keep, where are those equipment now? What happened with this?
A lot of the equipment is in storage due to lack of space and money to build a facility to house it, because you need a big room, really large. It's like building a whole house almost, because it has to be quite large to do that. I can go on a short walk here and show a few pieces of the equipment that are actually still around.
It would be great.
We've got yes. And if there's enough light, which I think I can arrange, because I was down here photographing. This is our basement. Down below, it kind of looks like a space station, because we got all kinds of ductwork and other wild stuff here. But may have to edit this video down, because I'll be walking around and doing stuff. But we'll get some footage
all
here.
this walk around is very interesting.
Let's see if I can get to a position. Now there's lots of stuff down here, all kinds of electronics and
All right.
electrical equipment. So see if I can hold. And some of my other devices that I have the view I'd like. It's hard to hold. Those are all our movie collection, but that's not what we're looking at. We're considering. So can you see the reel-to-reel machines over there?
Yeah, I can see the tape machine, and I can see some oscilloscopes and generators, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you have
Lots of stuff
plans
just in storage, kind of like.
There's some kind of plans for this?
Yes, matter of fact, I'm hoping someday to raise enough money on my own just to reinstate some of not all of it. It probably isn't going to be that easy, but I'd like to reinstate some of it and share it with others, of course. And I'm thinking a lot along the lines of a museum of some kind, maybe for some of the equipment, and then the other part actually up and running. Now, here's another room. And there isn't a ton of light here, but just see what this phone can do. Some of the equipment from the other place, the other location when it was set up. Let me do a little bit of quick photography work here, or video work. It's going to be a little rough because I got to grab a light, portable light, so we can have some light in there. So bear with me. It's going to be a little tricky. They don't have a lot of room.
Well,
Place is kind of tight.
Very interesting expedition that we are living right now.
Okay, let's see. I think we can do this. Got enough cord. I can bring the light in and we can light the space a little better, so I can actually see something. There. Well, maybe I can do this. There. Now maybe we can see some more of the equipment. It's in here.
Yes.
Let me keep it level here so
another reel.
Don't goop it up. And over here, there's a whole big machine, a giant machine with lots of controls, dials, and it's still up and running. I've actually been using this. This is quite the machine, a massive device. Weighs probably 1,400 pounds. It's huge. It's one giant console or desk-like unit, all one big machine with lots of knobs, dials, buttons, lights, and it tests electrical transformers and other systems and equipment. So it's quite complicated, but I learned how to use it, and I've been able to calibrate electric watt-hour meters and test equipment with it and everything. So I managed to make quite a bit of good use of that piece of equipment
Do you
without
have
much difficulty.
do,
But it took. Go
do you
ahead.
need a very special electrical connection? How do you did it?
Uh, Good question. We're heading there right now. I'll show you some of the things that are in this. This is. I actually posted a photo this morning of this setup. I don't know if you can see it here. Again, lighting is just not the greatest, but I may turn the phone sideways. It may. I don't know if that's going to goof up your video. I'll try not to do that. But there's a big control panel system here that I put
Yeah,
together for
yeah,
the
yeah.
heating and cooling of our home. I built the thing from scratch, and all the power, there's 40 amps at 240 volts coming into this unit. Power the control the heating and cooling machines, which are over here. These are these are ones I reconfigured to help heat and cool the house in a little different way. This other one's quite noisy now. Come on, this big machine here with the gauges on and stuff. You'll be able to make out a little. It's pretty dark. But that machine heats the house in the winter. Extracts heat out of the air in the room itself and amplifies it. So that's some of the stuff I'm doing at present even.
Yeah, so you
Okay.
have you have some kind of special arrangement with the electricity company from your town or something like that, because you have a really particular consuming. I can imagine.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
there's a quite we can pull 6,000 watts of electricity, 6 kilowatt hours an hour with ease. But don't have a special arrangement with them. They just charge us lots of money when we do.
I can imagine. Yeah, they but
Yes,
they were prepared for give you this kind of electricity. Yes, as a factory, something like that. You just
that's right. Yeah, we have a
big one.
200 amp
Yeah.
service. They call it. Yeah, the 200 amp electrical service, which is average now easily from homes here in USA. Some places have industrial. There's we live near a beautiful lake, freshwater lake called Torch Lake, and some of the homes on there are more like giant hotels. They're huge, they're massive, and I imagine they have industrial level power at probably 800 amps or more. Huge distribution panels in there to run the stuff. We're just a little one. We're 200 amps at 240 volts, single phase. So, but it's enough to power everything in the house. So, including the studio and all the heating, cooling, and oh boy, other equipment.
Amazing, man. So, okay, there's a lot of thinkings about, but for a kind of ending, uh, this exploration, maybe the attitude of going ahead with the ideas for so many time, and of course have no a clear answer from the other part,
Mm,
because it's so big and you need to live, I don't know, 5,000 years to maybe one signal reach somewhere by the by
right.
the by the size of this unmeasurable space. So, which what teachings uh, do you have about all this process? How you can?
Teachings or
Yes,
feelings, maybe?
yes, maybe the feelings ending as teachings. of life and about because you go ahead.
Yeah, it's oh, I feel that, like you had mentioned earlier, that the signals are still going out there, still traveling through the depths of space, even though the equipment is in storage and I'm working on music today to do other things with and share with Earthlings. So anyway, it's I feel good about it. I feel I left a legacy, if nothing else, with my fellow man, and that I also sent out a message, sent out a thoughts from us, from our creative side, into space. And there's always that chance, however small, that maybe someone from out there will pick it up and actually maybe make contact with us in a hopefully a friendly way.
Yeah, so you wrote a very special message in a battle.
Yes, yes, a musical message and a tone encoded message that says, hello from Earth. We are creative people. We love to share our creativity with others. We love to learn. We love to explore. And that was sort of the message in a nutshell,
So
capsule form.
you focus a lot on a music on a music message. Is this is something that it was very important for you. You are not spreading to space the DNA code like the SETI one or something like that. You are putting out
That's right.
music.
Yes. And music, I look at music as a really direct expression of it from the inside, from the soul, from, and it doesn't need translating. If there's no, well, there's no lyrics. It is kind of an automatic thing for most intelligent life to understand, I think. The sequences of patterns, of feeling, this, if there is such a thing with them, a feeling of the mood, and the comprehension of what those patterns might mean. And it's an intelligent, obviously, form of communication and universal in my mind.
Completely amazing and no more words to say about. Thank you, John.
Oh, I could, you're welcome. You're welcome. And I look forward to doing some more of this with you soon, anytime.
Thank you so much.
This
Thank
is
you
just a pleasure.
so much in the name of Cyclical Dreams. We are really close to launch your your album, and it's a very nice occasion to spread all this information that I think is inspiring, sparkling data for to continue spreading all of this.
Yes.
It's our work.
Thank you. And I look forward to continuing to work with you and Cyclical Dreams in the future and creating even more beautiful journeys in music.